Welcome to the Mindset Mechanics Podcast with Juan and Ladybug Jenkins. It's not too late to find, face, and fix what's stalling you. The shop is open, so pull on in.
Welcome to Mechanical Monday. You are in the shop. I'm Ladybug.
And I am Juan
Jenkins.
and we are your Mindset Mechanics, reminding you that it is not too late to find, face, and fix what's stalling you.
And when you do that, acceleration is inevitable. In today's episode titled Carpool, we are going to discuss the truth about teamwork and how it affects your progress. So, Jay, why don't you tell the crew listening what we mean?
Yes, indeed. Teamwork is defined as the combined action of a group of people, especially when they are effective and efficient. So we understand that when you're driving on a highway, you have your standard lanes and you have the carpool lane. In some places, it's called the HOV or the high occupancy vehicle lane. You can only drive in that lane if you have someone other than yourself in the car or the vehicle with you. That lane almost always moves faster, so you get to your destination more quickly. So, Ladybug, can you give the crew an example of what carpooling mindset might look like in real life?
Absolutely. So let's meet Antoine. He is a hardworking 24-year-old, currently employed in tech support at a large hospital system. He enjoys his job, but has a serious desire for more than just being an employee. He wants to start his own tech support firm, and he believes he has the know-how, the education, and the ambition to do exactly that. So he spends all of his time away from work, building, planning, figuring it out, doing his business plan, trying to make all of the contacts he needs. But at sometimes, he does feel like the arena is crowded. There are lots of people trying to do what he is doing, but he does believe in his dreams. So his team at work, it's okay. There are a mix of people from different backgrounds, but they're all in their early 20s. They have a similar mindset. And then there's Dave. So Dave is an older guy in his 60s, and Antoine is simply not a fan of Dave. So in his eyes, Dave is lacking in ambition, and at times he feels like Dave is kind of checked out. So he's a little conflicted because Dave always comes on time. He completes all of his assignments, but he just doesn't see any spark in Dave. And like, I said earlier, he just feels like Dave's mind is often somewhere else, even though he gets all of his work done. So one day their manager comes in and announces that they have to attend a conference to learn about a new computer system. But it is located 100 miles out of town. So they have two options. They can stay over at the host hotel with all of their accommodations and meals being paid for by the hospital, or they can drive there and back each day for 2 weeks. So everybody starts to buddy up. All of the young folks are really excited to spend 2 weeks away from their cubicles on the hospital's dime. They're going to stay in this really nice hotel, have all of these meals, be out of town. It's great. But it quickly becomes clear that no one wants to ride or room with Dave. So while Antoine is not a fan of Dave's, he is also not a fan of rejection. He's not a fan of bullying. And Antoine is also a Christian and knows that his young coworkers have a thing for happy hour and strip clubs. So he first decides internally that he is absolutely not going to spend the night. And he also decides that he is going to offer to ride with Dave. Dave mentions up front that he absolutely has to come home each night. So that gives Antoine a perfect excuse to not be staying over. He is riding with Dave, and Dave cannot stay over, so he cannot stay over. So what do you think is so far?
Oh, man. Well, you know what? I'm going to stay positive for now. I can understand, how Anton feels as a young man starting out. He seems like he's full of ambition and doesn't want to waste his time with an old guy that doesn't seem to care. So props to him for putting his faith first by not wanting to put himself in any awkward position, with his coworkers, and volunteering to commute with Dave so he doesn't feel rejected. So can you tell us what happened next?
Absolutely. So Antoine gets Dave's address, they trade phone numbers, and Antoine goes to pick him up that first day. So Dave walks out as soon as Antoine pulls up. He's got his bag. They get in the car, they set the GPS. And so the first half hour is really quiet. And then they do agree to stop for coffee. Their day is starting a lot earlier because they're commuting, an hour and a half to 2 hours versus, 15 minutes from home. So they stop to get coffee, and Dave turns around to get his meds out of his bag, and he sees a book that he recognizes on Antoine's back seat. And he starts to ask him some questions about the programming system that the book teaches. And Antoine is immediately, he perks up. He doesn't believe that Dave knows about all of these things because in his mind, Dave is just that bare minimum clock in, clock out guy. And as he starts to talk to him, he realizes really quickly that Dave knows a lot. So he asks Dave a few questions, and he finds out that Dave was one of the programmers that worked on PCs when they were being developed, and that Dave has worked for some of the largest firms in the country. And so he asked Dave, basically, how did you end up, working with a bunch of 20-somethings when you were obviously on the top rung at some point? And so Dave confesses that he did all of those things, and then his wife got sick. And that hospital system that they work at is one of the only ones in the state with insurance that covers his wife's medical needs.
Wow.
So he decided to power down from the high-powered, I have to work 60, 70, 80 hours a week job. I want to be home for my wife every day, with my wife every day for dinner. And I want to make sure that she can have all of her medical needs met. So that is how Dave ended up in tech support with the 20-somethings. And so then Antoine starts to pick his brain, and Dave starts to tell him everything he knows about managing projects, about building his own firm. And within 3 days, Dave is the one driving, and Antoine is in the passenger seat with his notes open, taking notes, just writing down everything that Dave is laying out for him. So, at the end of 2 weeks, Antoine has enough knowledge he feels, to start his firm. And then Dave tells him that he will mentor him. And he actually has a few very valuable phone numbers and emails that he can give Antoine to connect with people that can help him.
Wow, that sounds like a lot for 2 weeks, man. So did Dave or Anton find the exit?
Absolutely. So Antoine takes everything that Dave shared with him, the contacts, the information, and immediately applies it to his startup plan. In 4 months, Antoine was able to present his ideas to some investors and some of the people that Dave connected him with, and he had more than enough funding offered to him to start his tech firm. But then it gets even better. So he gave the hospital his 2-week notice. And shortly after that, he gets a phone call from the vice president of cybersecurity. He hears about the reason that Antoine is resigning, and the startup that Antoine has put together with Dave's help and expertise is already making ripples in the tech world, and it's not even fully opened, yet. So what the VP tells him is that they want Antoine's company to be a contractor for the hospital system so that they can move some of their tech support to remote, work from home positions, which are, actually really desirable as soon as he is up and running. So one of the first things that Antoine does is he hires Dave to work remotely. And with the contract and all of the funding, he is able to provide the insurance that Dave needs so that his wife can continue to get the treatment that she needs. So now, not only can Dave continue to provide for his wife, he can be home with her all the time because he's working remotely. And he also shared with Antoine after, their relationship matured that part of the reason he always seemed checked out is because those were the times he was worried about his wife. Those were days that she was having treatments. Those are days that her meds were affecting her. So his body was at work and he had enough skill to get all of his work done, but his mind was at home. So, yeah. So he was rolling in quite a bit of money very quickly, and he was able to kind of take Dave with him. He shared the wealth and he shared the the good tidings. So it actually ended up working out well for both of them.
Wow. Yeah, that is amazing.
It is.
Man, it's so easy to discount people based on stereotypes and preconceived notions, man. Imagine if Anton had curb day like everybody else.
Exactly. Yes, indeed. He probably would have started his firm. I mean, he already had a plan. He was working on it. He was willing to work all of the hours that he was not on his full-time job. So he absolutely had the mindset to do well. But it's highly doubtful that he would have started on that level without, the kind of knowledge available to him that Dave provided, not to mention the connections at Dave's age, given his background. He knew anybody probably that was worth knowing. So he was able to really give him a leg up. So let's take a look in the rearview mirror, Jay. This is where we use the knowledge of hindsight to evaluate our topic. So what's in your review on this one?
It's important not to judge a book by its cover and not to be selfish. You miss riding with the people who will take you right where you want to go. You think you're blessing someone else, but the blessing is actually yours. So what's in your review on this one, Bug?
Well, my takeaway is that if most people are doing a thing, that's probably not it. So when you're out on the highway, you see all of these people, you see all of these vehicles, and then when you look over to that high occupancy vehicle lane, that carpool lane, it's often empty. And if it's not empty, you see very few vehicles. And that is kind of how I look at my life. If I'm going with the crowd, the herd, however you want to look at it, if you're doing what everyone else is doing, you're probably not on a path that is going to cause you to stand out. You're probably not in a place of acceleration. So you have all of these people, they're all going in the same direction, but everybody is in their own car with their own thoughts, their own music, their own agendas, and they are not carpooling. They are not doing the teamwork thing. And I think you miss out that way. So if Antoine would have copied most of the young people around him, he would have been just like them, and they're probably all sitting in that call center, in that room, doing tech support, or they're applying for jobs at Antoine's firm. So if you want different, you have to be different, which isn't always easy. You definitely need people. You just have to make sure it's the right people.
Right, absolutely. Ecclesiastes 4:9-12 says, 2 people are better than one. When 2 people work together, they get more work done. If one person falls, the other person can reach out to help. But those who are alone when they fall have no one to help them. If 2 people sleep together, they will be warm. But a person sleeping alone will not be warm. An enemy might be able to defeat one person, but 2 people can stand back to back to defend each other. And 3 people are even stronger. They are like a rope that has 3 parts wrapped together. It is very hard to break.
Yes, iron sharpens iron.
Yes, indeed. So thanks for stopping by the shop. We trusted it helped. I am Juan
And I'm Ladybug
Jenkins, reminding you that it is not too late to find, face, and fix what's stalling you.
Amen.
Amen.
Thanks for stopping by the shop. Tune in next Mechanical Monday so you can get the tools to find, face, and fix your mindset and accelerate your life.